Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're back at it. Still waiting on bearing end caps. That's turned into quite a debacle. Trying to find the right one anyway. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to start cleaning up some of these parts. Power steering unit, starter, stuff like that. Just clean it up, throw a quick coat of paint on it. I'm going to get the pulley off this water pump because we're going to order a new water pump. Just stuff like that. We're going to do some wiring on the dash this week. We're going to get to work on the interior door panels. See if we can't get those straightened out. Headlight housings have to get done. Blinker light housings have to get done. We still have to body work and shoot our visor. And like I said, the door panels, inside door panels have to get done. A little bit of body work on them. So there's stuff we can do. Like I said, I can shoot them outside and bring them in to dry. We can do it that way. It's not ideal, but it's what we got right now. So we'll do what we can do inside our little shop here until the weather gets better, which is probably going to be quite a while around here. So no more talking. Let's get to it, man. Okay, so here is our plan. We're going to blow these apart, the two housings, get them all cleaned up. We got our dome light, fabricated dome light that we put together. We're going to get that painted. We got our fabricated ashtray cover. We're going to paint that. This is all going to get painted blue. We're going to use the system that I used to do the overhead console and the back panel behind the seat. Worked out really well. So we're going to use that for all the small stuff again. And we're going to get working on our visor and our door panels. I'm going to go ahead and shoot them with the same system, I think, because most of that door panel is going to get covered anyway with the same type of fabric that's in the headliner. So I'm not too worried about, perfection on that. So let's get started, man. All right, let's see how our dash bezel is going to fit in here. Hopefully there's no issues. Oh yeah, sweet. I'm liking it already, man. We also got our glove box latch. As soon as I figure out how to put this in, we'll do that. So I'm assuming that one of these holes here might release the front or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll let you know. I want to give you guys a quick update on the glove box latch. Apparently you got the wrong one. This here should be flipped around so that when it shuts, it's supposed to shut as the door comes up and go in like that, but we got it backwards. So go back to the drawing board on this as well. Alright, so I'm thinking we can get some of this wiring started with our headlight switch. We have to cut down the stem here. Make sure we got enough throw on it. I think like right about there is good. We cut it off like right about there. I have the painless wiring book out on the bench. Because this is an aftermarket piece, I want to see how it matches up with their wiring diagram. So let me get this out of here and we'll go check that out. Okay, so here is the overview, and you can see that our switch, which I bought as a kit, I got the headlight switch, the wiper switch, and the dimmer switch all in the same package. I got it from Summit Racing. I think it was like $100. This actually matches up perfectly with the GM style headlight switch, early and the later models. So we're gonna be okay there. The wiring is pretty self-explanatory. You'll see that when we get into the truck. You're just basically hooking it up. There's not really much to it. So let's get to that. All right, so finding the wires is relatively easy because they're all color-coded. I know when you grab a hold of this thing, you're thinking, oh my God. But really, we'll just look for the first one, which is the headlight switch power from the battery. It's orange. Pick up this one here and see what it says. So this is our headlight switch power. Just stick that one aside. Okay. We're going to look for, and actually, this is another point that I didn't mention that I should. You can see that not only are they labeled, but they're numbered. So if there's two brown wires in there, say, you can always match it up by the number if you're not quite sure. So it's really easy to do. I mean, it takes some patience and time, but you can do it. I know you can. Headlight switch number 929. That's the one we're looking for, tail lights. So that is the next wire that we need. All right, moving on. Number 930 is also brown. That's the panel lighting. All right, I have isolated all the wires necessary. According to our book, we need to put our switch in. So it's just a matter of putting the ends on and plugging it in, man. It's that simple. The whole thing is actually not bad if you take it one component at a time. So let's get the headlights in. Alright, there it is, guys. Got our headlight switch wired up. Wasn't too bad. Next we're going to do the ignition switch, the wipers, and the lighter while we have the bezel out, because it's a lot easier to maneuver in here without that thing in the way. And once we get all that done, we can throw our bezel in and start on our gauges, man. Alright, let's see what we got here. Let's go to the ignition section. I'll say this is like closer to the painless version, aftermarket ignition. There's our schematic for this ignition switch. We just have to locate these wires and put some eyelets on them, and that's pretty much it, really. I told you it's simple. Wires are all labeled and numbered. Let's do it, man. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but these are marked. Sometimes they are not. It says ignition there, battery there. Having them marked makes it a whole lot easier. You don't have to play the guessing game, but this is going to match up really well with what we have in the book. So, like I said, it's basically just plug and play. And we're going to go ahead and put this one together, and we got another component in, man. Alright, so one of the most important things you're going to have to do when wiring on a vehicle, grounding. I probably do more than you need to do, but I like to make sure that everything's grounded. So I want to get one grounding strap from the firewall to the dash. We'll have one on the block to the battery, obviously. And then I like to go from the battery to the frame is another one. Then from the frame to the back components of the truck, just to make sure we got enough ground for the wiring. And that's what I'm going to do right now. We're going to install a ground before I get too much stuff going on in here. We're going to get a ground from our firewall to our dash. Alright, I think this is going to be our best spot for grounding. Firewall, and we'll run the strap straight to this brace here onto the dash. So let's do it, man. Alright, so all we're going to do is connect this end when we tie our ashtray cover in, and that will be a good ground for that, for the entire dash. We have the basic 1-speed aftermarket wiper motor, so it's pretty basic, pretty simple. Power wire, ground wire, that's pretty much it for that. Same thing with the cigarette lighter, it's just hot wire, ground wire. I'm going to go ahead and do that, get those hooked up. We'll get our bezel in here, we'll get some gauges in here, and then maybe we can get the steering column in here. Alright, so we got our gauges. These are all mechanical gauges, so the only wire needed other than the amp meter is power from the headlight switch for the panel lighting for the gauges themselves. Temp gauge, fuel gauge, oil pressure. We're not going to use they give you this plastic hose, but you should never use this because it's if it ever melted, you're going to have a mess. So I'm going to install the gauge, but we're going to go get a copper line for it. So yeah, let's start putting the gauges in and get this panel in. We got all our gauges in where I want them to be. Okay, starting to look like something now. Okay, so we got a column out here. This is an aftermarket GM column. That's for an in the dash ignition. Here's the schematic for the GM column. So basically all this really is matching up the wires. Now you have to look in this bag and see if the connector that they sent us will connect to our column, and we'll just place the wires onto here. That's pretty much all there is to it. So let me see if I can find the right connector and we'll get started. Okay, so the connectors that they sent in this kit do not match up with what we have on our column. What I think we're going to do is we're just going to cut these wires off here and just do a direct splice onto the wires that we have. It's not the way you should do it, but as long as everything is secured, it's not an issue. I went and separated out the rest of the wires according to where they go. These are the dash wires. Goes to the dash panel, I mean. This Blue wire is the power wire for our wipers. That just needs to get connected there. The gray and the black one are for the heater. I think I have a heater core that I bought for another project, didn't use it. We could build a heater box for this, put the core in there and get a blower motor and all that crap. Or I can do a little research and see if we can't get a heater box already done with a blower motor in it. With or without the heater core, doesn't matter because I have one. And put it in there. But because I live in New York, probably a good idea to have some kind of heat, if for nothing else, a defroster. We haven't touched on that yet. I think that's going to be a little bit more down the road, but we have the wiring set aside for that. All right, the rest of these wires are the wires for the column. And because we are still waiting for the speedometer, I don't think it's a good idea to wire up the column and set it yet because it's just going to be in the way. So what I'd like to do is wait till the speedometer gets here. That way we can tie all the gauge lighting together as opposed to doing it now. Then we have to tie in the speedometer later. Really don't want to do that. I'd rather just do it all at once. So we're at a standstill on that until we can get the speedometer. And there's not much sense of putting the column in just to get it in our way until the speedometer is done and we can put the dash panel in. So where does that leave us? I guess that leaves us cleaning up and painting parts. Let's get to it. Probably should get started with the starter. You get it? Started with the starter. Yes. We got our headlight housings taken apart, blinker light housings taken apart, sanded down, ready to be painted. We got our dome light sanded down, ready to be painted. Ashtray cover sanded down, ready to be painted. Spruced up our starter. We spruced up our steering linkage, the one piece that we're going to reuse. I was going to mix up some paint, but I'll tell you what, it's like 20 degrees outside right now. So painting today might not be the greatest of ideas. I think we got a lot done this week. We did a whole lot of wiring. Still waiting on the bearing end cap. Got a lead on that. Maybe that'll pan out this week. I think that's where we're going to leave it this week. it's Christmas week, so I got a lot of things to do around the house before family arrives. I hope you guys have a great Christmas. Enjoy your time with family, and until next week, man, take it easy.